Alright, hello everyone. So today we're going to be taking a look at the River Country Trekker 110. I recently got this tent. I've used it a couple of times, so I feel like I have a really good idea of the way it works. It does require one trekking pole, but there is no other tent poles, and I'm going to set this up and then I'm going to get right into it. But to start off, it's a good tent, but I'm going to show you why. Alright, so I got the tent all set up. It's a fairly decent amount of room inside. So basically, you can have it set up like this when it's closed, and this will have it basically fully enclosed, where this is with the vestibule. So it did take a total of 9 stakes, I found. There are some different configurations where you might need a little bit more stakes. We'll get into that. But so this is what the inside looks. And one thing, this is my first tent that I've ever had where you actually have these little tie downs right here. This is something that comes in really handy. Then you could just have the little door propped up. Hold on a second. I realized I could have set the pole a little bit higher, because as you can see, this little edge is kind of like at a slant. But I mean, you basically get a good idea of what it looks like. This is what it's like when it's open, and it does have this little mosquito net. This is something that I really appreciate, where if you want, you can have this entire thing open. That's the really, and then as well, you can also put this over here to the side. That's also an option, so that way you can have it completely open. And you actually do have a fair amount of room. So one thing I was going to get into for this tent is that I do recommend, if you are going to get this, you be at least, or the maximum height you want to be is around 6 foot. If you're anything over that, this tent is not going to be for you, because I am currently 5'11". Probably going to stay like that. Rip. So this is how much room I have when I lay down. That's without my head touching the seat, the side on this side. But see, so like if you're 6 foot, this might be a little bit too big for you, or it might be just it's a little bit too small actually. But for me, this actually tends to work out perfectly. And in addition, you can actually take this little vent and actually open it up too. I'll show you that right now. So this is the other side with the vent open now, and so you see you actually get a lot more airflow in this tent. So when you have this thing completely zipped up, you will have an issue with condensation. I will admit that, because you do just have this little vent. But what do you call it, when you open this and then you should be fine. But what do you call it, if you want really just want to be exposed, you would just leave this thing open. But I usually sleep with this mosquito net down, because I just don't really want to deal with any bugs in my tent, and as well as I'm assured that there's not going to be a snake within my little area too, because I do like to go to the desert area. And let me also show you, so like I was able to find this little blanket. Now it's basically labeled as a picnic blanket. The only what I decided to use it as a tarp to cover this vestibule area, and I'll show you that configuration right now. So this is what I wanted to show you. So you see how the vestibule is now completely covered. So that way you can get in your tent. Because one thing I found that made it hard was getting out to go to the bathroom. You know, when you don't want to put your shoes or your boots on. So you can easily just put your shoes over here in the corner, however close you want it. You can cook right here, and you don't have to worry about a lot of the dust in the air. Don't have to worry about putting your feet in the dirt. Some people don't really mind this, but this was one little touch that I felt made the tent like complete, because I had seen other more expensive tents that do include some sort of bottom, but instead of just buying like another tent, because this tarp was only $8 or $9, so it's not very expensive addition, and the tent weighs around 2.8 pounds. This literally just makes it right around 3 pounds. So weight is not really that much of an issue. And keep in mind, this tent is also $55 when it's available. So for less than $70, you can get an ultralight tent that has a mosquito net, that has tie downs, and there's a lot of different options that you can do with this tent. I've seen some people not use a trekking pole altogether, where they'll actually tie it to a tree. So like how we have a tree right here, we could just tie it to the top, because it does have this little loop right here. This is what I'm saying, you can tie this up to the top instead of doing a trekking pole. So one other thing is that I've seen other people have it where they completely have this up and they use a guideline to go all the way down, and I'm going to show you that configuration right now. Well, it took me a bit, but I finally got it all set up. So this is with the vestibule, both doors of the vestibule completely open. So what you do is just attach something to that loop, run your guideline down, and boom. And you can tighten that as much as you want. And for this, I just use like a little soda tab, but what do you call it? This is what it really does. It really does have a little bit more open space to it. So if you're not worried about rain or anything, you could just leave that thing completely open. But I kind of prefer having just one door down. I haven't slept with the setup like this yet. Probably try it maybe next time I go out to Joshua Tree or something. But yeah, this is what the tent really looks like. All in all, it's a good tent. For even just by itself for $55, you can't go wrong. You know, obviously with the nicer, more expensive ultralight tents, you will have a lot less weight. You will also have a lot better materials, but this just works fine. One thing people have mentioned that for the seams, some people do incorporate their own. Some people have recommended that you put some sort of seam sealer for the corners. I don't really go out in the rain, so I'm not worried about any sort of leakage, but if that's something that is your concern, this tent is already like 99% waterproof, but if you want to make it 100%, you probably will want to use some seam sealers. So for probably $7, you can make this thing completely waterproof. Some people do set it up wrong, where they do have some rain runoff, but in all honesty, like, you can see how it's almost like a tub, where this and had I set it up more correctly, because you do see that slope right there, I could have raised this thing higher and this thing would have been up more. And in all honesty, I wouldn't really worry too much about water, because even in the corners, you see it, this is all covered too. So as long as you set it up right, and if you're gonna get one of these tents, you likely do have experience with setting up with the guidelines. But this tent is perfect. I did use around 9 stakes. It is a lot, but if you just get the light ones, some people do recommend that you get the metal hooked ones, but like the steel ones, so that way it'll hook around this a lot easier. But for one, those things are a lot heavier. We already at 9 stakes as it is, and while they do stick into the ground better, I just don't like that weight aspect. But these just work. I've taken these on several trips, and I mean, they're always inexpensive to replace. But all in all, you can't go wrong with this tent. For $70, I'm really happy. I've taken this thing out to Death Valley, take it out to Joshua Tree, what do you call it? I plan to do some of, like, around the Mormon Rock area, but what do you call it? I would take this out, and I already showed you what it looked like. It packs fairly small, like, it's right in between that. It's right in that sweet spot of, like, between big and small for a tent. But I'm happy with it. You know, the mosquito net is definitely a nice touch. I've seen some people just completely rip it out, and it'll probably save you a lot of some room, not a lot. You'll probably squeeze out just a little bit more, but I really like this addition because I've had no issues with bugs coming into my tent, unless it's like an ant or something like that. But you obviously know not to set up right next to an ant spot. But I keep wanting to remove that tag that is in there, but I just have yet to do it. All in all, I definitely recommend this. It's great. Also too, if you do the little they send you a little thing where if you do a little, like, review, they'll send you a free gift. All the free gift is just, but like I was saying, all the free gift is they're just going to give you some more, like, I think 3 or 2 more stakes. They're going to give you 1 more guideline, but you can always make that with your own paracord. However, these ones are nice just because they're really thin. It's just some cheap thread, but what do you call it? It works really well. It's really lightweight, whereas this paracord is like a little bundle that I would have preferred to have those lines, but I just couldn't find it at the store. But I don't know. I'd recommend this if you're looking for something that's on a budget, something that is actually reliable. If I've seen people who, like, I've had a friend who got the exact same tent, and they set it up wrong. So, like, I had my tent and he had his tent. Mine was fine. When we came back from our trail, though, his was just completely collapsed. He had this trekking pole at an angle, and I was just like, okay, no. So I had to help him, like, set it up. But like I said, as long as you just set it up straight, don't make the mistake I did. Honestly, it would work if you have it like this, but you already see how it is right now. But I definitely recommend this, especially with this little touch. I found that this made this tent basically perfect for me. Having this tarp, I was able to get up out of my sleeping bag at night. I was able to use the bathroom really quickly without having to take off my shoes. I was able to cook breakfast in the morning without having to have my boots on. especially because I like to have my gear. So normally, if we have the vestibule down, I'll have my gear right here and my boots around here, and I'll leave this thing completely open. And I usually have my head sleeping right here. Sometimes I'll flip around the other way. It really just depends if I want to see the stars at night. But all in all, yeah, check this tent out.